Hey everyone, this is Josh from the Emerald Podcast. I just wanted to make a quick comment on some recent world events. So, Stephen Miller, one of the architects of the current U.S. administration's foreign policy, just said in an interview with Jake Tapper, he said, the real world is governed by force and by power. The real world is governed by force and by power. So yeah, I wanted to take a minute to respond to Stephen from what you could call an animate perspective. Yeah, the real world is governed by force. It's governed by the force of nature, the force of time, the force of gravity. Gravity, in which that which goes up must come down. The governing forces of the planet, of the cosmos, are not forces of individual domination. They are forces that exist within a constantly shifting relational balance. So that as soon as one wave crests, the force of gravity ensures that it's already on its way back down. As soon as one species or one nation dominates, nature has an intricate system of checks and balances, of forces that will ultimately ensure that no one given power dominates for long. Within this relational network of forces, sure, one person or one nation can try and force its will upon others, force its agenda, force its vision of the future. But how long do those imposed agendas generally last? Really, how long do tyrannies generally last? How long does the schoolyard bully remain the schoolyard bully? How long did the visions of force and force alone last? Usually they exhaust themselves pretty rapidly. Because thanks to the laws of physics, when you force something one way, you've inevitably set in motion the opposing force that will balance it out. Within this understanding of what force and power actually are, the successful human communities, the ones that last over time, are the ones that recognize that the best they can do is construct their societal systems in service of greater forces, in service of the force of nature and the force of time. You know, time, which will topple all towers and render harmless all armies, and bring what was on the bottom to the top, and the top back to the bottom, and ensure that the last will be first and the first will be last over and over again. The world in which persons or countries envision themselves as all powerful or think that what fleeting power they have actually lasts, that's not the real world at all. The real world is the world of cause and effect. It is the world of equal and opposite reactions. It is the world that humans don't govern, don't control, and only hold in our cupped hands for a few fleeting years before we pass on. We will never be the power. We will never force anything upon nature. We're here to serve the power. Understand that about the real world, and a person might one day understand what leadership actually is in service of the power. Just a few thoughts there on the real world. And I did an episode on power, an Emerald podcast episode on power. It goes a lot more into this. Have a good day, Stephen.